This is, of course, our monthly meeting of the Ohio River Way Coalition, an effort to provide a forum once a month to bring everybody together, share information, salute each other's work, and collaborate along this corridor from Portsmouth or, frankly, Lawrence County all the way down to West Point, Kentucky, and beyond. It's growing. So we'd like to begin by, and I'm Brewster Rhodes. I'm the chair of the board of the Ohio River Way. Dr. David Wicks, who's the vice chair, is with us, who's the head of River City Paddle Sports in Louisville. Francis Manone is our project manager, and we will introduce our new administrative and communications coordinator momentarily. Yes, please put your name and organizational affiliation in the chat so everybody can see who's in the house. And we have an amazing cross section. So this is an opportunity right now for the next 4.5 minutes for folks to share good news, and a maximum of 20 seconds. Who has some good news to share?
I have a bit of good news. It turns out New Albany is announcing a new trail, Rails to Trails, 61 miles long next week. So going up towards 5 counties through southern Indiana. So it's a wonderful support from the governor of Indiana for the piece. And I'll put a link into the chat with a very good video by one of our partners, Mayor Gahan.
Well, great job, great job. And so if you have something you'd like to put in the chat, if you wanted to direct other people's attention to, please do it now. Who else has some good news to share? Just take yourself off mute and do it.
Well, I'd like to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to give a shout out to Orsenko for their efforts the last week or so since the spill in East Palestine. It's so wonderful to have that organization staying on top of it and communicating information that everyone's concerned about. So thanks, Orsenko.
Thank you, Susan. Excellent shout out. Very appropriate. Anybody else?
Hi, everybody. My name is Sarah Orlando. I'm with Ohio Sea Grant. I'm going to put a couple links in the chat box. We have a statewide marina conference happening on March 1st, and I will say it's meant for marinas, but honestly, it's meant for anybody who's interested in the intersection of environmental issues and recreational boating. So we'll have presentations on sustainable design, sustainable planning for marinas, fisheries update. We'll have a discussion around community outreach and engagement with recreational boating, and stormwater design. So that'll be happening March 1st in Huron, Ohio. It will be in person. And then I will be having a hybrid virtual nature-based solutions for marinas workshop on February 28th. So I'll put information on the chat box for both of those events. Feel free to share, or you're welcome to join us. Thanks.
Good. Thank you, Sarah. It's always good to have you. That's wonderful. And I see that Scott Wood is in the house with the New Albany City Planning Commission, and he, I'm sure, played a central role in the development of that trail. So hats off. And I know Andrea Ireland worked with that piece as well with the National Park Service. And who else has some good news to share? What are you proud of having accomplished recently?
Brewster, David Rudder here.
Yeah, buddy.
We're still getting the final details and everything, but anybody that hasn't had a chance to participate in an Ohio River listening session, we will be hosting one here at OKI, looking most likely March 15th, Wednesday, March 15th in the late afternoon, early evening. And
excellent.
Those details will be coming out soon.
We will let everybody know about that opportunity to have input into the development of the restoration plan for the Ohio River Basin that the National Wildlife Federation is taking the lead on as part of ORBA's work, Ohio River Basin Alliance. Hey, I just want to give a shout out. Nate Welsh is here. He's the brand new executive director of Portsmouth Scioto Convention and Visitors Bureau up there in Portsmouth area. It's good to have you, having worked with the National Park Service for a number of years. Mika King is here. As I should say, she's the new director of interim director of the Switzerland County, Indiana Convention and Tourism Office. Ruth Robinson, I think, is here, who's the newly elected American Canoe Association director for the state of Kentucky. So that's exciting. We just talked about the Mon Trail. But Vivi and Maysville Mayor, I know you're here. And of course, Mika, you guys are rated #1 in the final week of voting in the USA Today Best Small City or Small Town in the Midwest, and that's Vivi, and in the South, and that's Maysville. So of the 20 or so candidates for each of those best cities from that USA Today deal, our Ohio Riverway cities that were on that list are rated number 1 in the voting that will end at the end of this week. So it is pretty amazing. So hats off to Vivi and hats off to Maysville. Any comment, you guys? It's very cool. All of us can help you win by voting.
Yes, we appreciate all the votes, and I have to give the hats off to our tourism director and our Main Street coordinator, who have really promoted that and do a great job. So hats off to them.
Well, as soon as we find out that you guys won, we will celebrate it big time. All right. And then you guys can use that tag in your marketing, and we can all use it to promote the Ohio Riverway for both VV and for Maysville. Hats off. That's just so cool. Okay, folks, if you just joined us, please put your name and your organization affiliation in the chat. We have a lot more to cover, and we should get into it right now. So I would like, David, if you could introduce Forrest to everybody on the team. This is a very helpful development for all of us. Wonderful.
Well, as you can tell from the number of people on this call, coalition and the work of the Ohio Riverway is really taking off. And to handle part of the paperwork and the organization and that planning, I'd really like to introduce Forrest Clevenger. Forrest was a student of mine. He's a recent graduate at the University of Louisville, where he specialized in political science, but he took a course in the Ohio River, and his work ended up becoming the mainstay of a exhibit at the Louisville Free Public Library, and then with the Kentucky State Fair. He has extensive experience with Morgan McGarvey, who is our new congressional representative, but is very interested in working in river towns up and down the entire river. He's currently in Oxford, where he spent his last year of school, and will be coming back to Louisville probably in the next week or two. So he's just over there regaling in the academic life of Oxford.
And working his tail off for us at the same time.
While working, it's distance learning. And so it's a pleasure. He did grow up on the Ohio River in a beautiful farm overlooking in a hollow in southern Jefferson County, right near West Point. And so is a good old river rat. And so I'd like to introduce, we call him old, but Forrest, what did I leave out?
Thank you so much, David. I guess the only thing I have to say is that it's been an absolute pleasure getting to meet some of you all, and I am so excited to be here today and to serve you all however I can. So thank you.
Well, Forrest will be available if you're part of the coalition committees, that if you need to have help setting up Zoom meetings or really, he's has a full agenda already, but he's there to help. And so reach out to Forrest.
Great. Well, thank you, David. So Forrest will get us more organized in terms of our communication, our management, administration, membership development, website management, social media marketing, all the stuff that, we don't know how to do very well, but he will do it on behalf of all of us and help make things happen. So hats off, buddy. Welcome to us. And now we have some really lightning round reports from the committees that we set up just in January. Actually December, I guess, but we have some amazing committed volunteers who put their hands up and said, yes, I'm willing to chair a committee of this coalition to work on an aspect of our agenda. And some of those committees have had a chance to, all of them have had a chance to meet at the leadership level. Some have brought additional folks who filled out the survey saying they were interested in certain aspects of certain committees together, and are working on developing their agenda, their strategic goals, short and long term, and their action plans. So I'd like to begin. I think he's on here. Is Wayne Gates? Wayne, are you here with us, buddy? Wayne is a village manager of Ripley and the chair, co-chair of the marketing committee. Are you here, Wayne? Well, how about anybody else from the marketing committee? Is there somebody else who is able to make a presentation? Or maybe we should just wait and jump to Noelle with the tourism committee or council. And Noelle is representing her colleagues, Julie Kirkpatrick and Mary Allen, who are the coordinators and chairs of that group, and Noel is with the Indiana Destination Development Corporation for joining us today.
No problem. This will be quick. Our committee has just been in the process of smaller group. So Mary Allen sent out a survey. So thank you to those people that responded. Really just trying to gauge how much time people have to be able to commit to something in addition to their regular jobs, as well as how engaged and involved you want to be. So for those that have already responded, you'll be hearing from me. We sent out a second round of that because we had some bad email addresses, and hopefully those went out earlier this week. I'm waiting on getting that back from Mary, and then we will be inviting that small group to our next meeting, which is in March, in early March, and we'll get you on those regular monthly committee meetings. So just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware of the process right there. We're just a little bit behind compared to where we'd like to be, just from, playing catch up. But by March, we should be in a good place to get with everybody in our small group and a better plan just to talk strategy, how we want to move forward with talking about tourism along the Ohio River Way, and putting together some more concrete things that can either be used in the visitor guide or to be used just in social media, etc. So lots more to come from our group. And if you haven't heard from us, you will hopefully by the end of this week, first the next, if at the latest. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Noel. And I've provided to Noel the contact information for all the folks that we have on our database who are representatives of tourism bureaus up and down the river. So the idea is to bring you all together and think through what you can do by working better together to go further, faster to promote the entire region in addition to individual assets in each of our communities, especially around recreation. So moving right along, thank you, appreciate it. So next, Tricia Novak is in the Southern Indiana, Louisville area, and is the co-chair of the committee working on Ohio River cleanup efforts, in many ways led by Orsanco's annual River Sweep project. So Tricia, are you able to give us a report here?
Yeah, absolutely. So Annette couldn't make it, unfortunately. She works for Orsanco, so she's dealing with the spill, I believe, that you all were mentioning. I don't have any details on that, but she said that she also has a commissioner meeting, so she wanted me to let you all know she's sorry she couldn't make it. But yeah, we had our first committee meeting a couple weeks ago. We had a good turnout, and we'll have our next meeting tentatively. It's February 28th for about an hour. We were going to have them about 2 o'clock, but I think we're going to start pushing them to about 4, just because that seems to work for other people's schedule, or for most people's schedules. So I'll be sending out another Teams invite for that here in the next few days. So if you have already signed up for the committee, be expecting that invite, and I hope that you all can make it. If anybody wants to be added to the list, I will put my email address in the chat.
Thank you, Tricia. And one of the goals of that committee is to collaborate with every community up and down the river to organize river cleanup efforts that engage maybe a record number of volunteers this coming season, right? To pick up trash, to get rid of tires, to engage corporations and nonprofits and civic organizations in the effort to roll their sleeves up and make the river shine. And I think if we all collaborate and have a little fun competition with each other, we can help Orsanco and all the other communities have a record haul and celebrate the river. Therefore, great way to promote it.
It's
okay,
for
folks.
The river and the tributaries. We just want to make sure that if we want to do a smaller tributary, go for it.
Excellent. So you'll hear more from that team, but it's very exciting. And thank you, Tricia. You've been doing that effort in the Louisville area, correct, for a number of years.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I live in Indiana and I work in Louisville, so I'm in that region.
Excellent. Dynamite. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks.
Okay. Moving right along. Christy Knoll with the Boone Conservancy. Are you in the house, Christy?
I am in the house. Hey, Brewster.
Hey, there you are.
How's everybody? We are getting started. Our conservation committee, Mark Jacobs and Jack Sutton and I, the three of us, are kind of leading the charge. And we have our first committee meeting scheduled for 2 weeks from today. I sent the email out yesterday to people that had expressed interest in that committee, and a couple people that I thought would be good to be on the committee, even if you didn't express interest. And anyone else, please reach out to me. We love to have as many people as possible. We're going to really identify the conserved lands along the river and, talk about kind of goals and plans and what everybody would like to do in their section. Because I think the exciting part about this is the size of the trail. So if we can look at more conserved land, I think conserved land means better access for everybody, and it goes well together.
And Christy, you also will be engaging the watershed organizations like Little Miami Conservancy and the Mill Creek Restoration Project, the Bear Creek folks, Salt River, others. So that's a way that those groups can collaborate with you and folks who are managing public lands.
Right.
And conservancies. Great. Excellent. So thank you. Appreciate it. You'll be hearing more from Christy and her team. And I provided to you just a day or two ago a list of I think everybody that I could identify as a park or conservancy district or a watershed organization.
Right. So be looking out for more emails from me. People that haven't heard from me, I just got the new list and I'll be adding to our list as we go.
Dynamite.
Thanks.
Okay. And thank you very much. Appreciate it, Christy. So we have drafted Forrest to act as the interim sort of convening coordinator for our trails team, which we're in the process of defining. But Forrest, anything you'd like to share about your thoughts?
Well, one of the first thoughts that I have that intersects with the Cincy Magazine piece is that we're hoping to identify what trails we want to promote as we move forward with this promotional booklet that we're doing. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more that we want to bring into our scope, but that's one of the first things that I want to be working on.
Good enough, buddy. And we're thinking this is the committee that where we want to bring the folks from Indiana Trails, from the Louisville Trail Network, the Tri-State Trails Organization, the Greater Cincinnati area, folks who are working to develop, manage, enhance land trails primarily, and make sure they're properly mapped on our digital guide. That they're ideally it's a commentary about how people can experience those trails that exist, and in whatever ways we can facilitate the connection of trail segments so that people can have longer experiences. And this is also a way to involve the cycling community. So Rails to Trails folks, we look forward to working with you all as well. All right, good. Moving right along. Wayne, I see you are in the house there, buddy. So could you share, Wayne, on behalf of your marketing committee, what you guys are working on?
Well, at this point,
and Wayne is the village manager for Ripley, Ohio, and Brown County.
Thank you. At this point, we are turning most of our focus at this time toward the Cincinnati Magazine piece that we are putting together and gathering content for that, because I think that the Cincinnati Magazine article and the opportunities that come with it will play into both marketing and tourism opportunities. So I'd like to make sure that we are on board with all of those folks within the Ohio River Way to make sure that we have a good list of content. I know that we have discussed that sort of among some of the principals here about assessing what content needs to be in there, what the priorities are, and that sort of thing. Moving forward, once we get past the deadline of that, the marketing committee, I would like to discuss internally some other opportunities that we can get a lot of mileage out of to take advantage of opportunities that are essentially take advantage of the low-hanging fruit that doesn't require a whole lot of time to put together, because I know all of us are busy doing other things, but I think if we act collaboratively and sort of pool our resources, that we can continue to make some progress.
Well, thank you, Wayne. Appreciate what you and your team are doing. And maybe we should have had the presentation from our friends with Cincy Magazine, who are going to be doing our publication first. But bottom line is that you are playing the key role, working with your leadership to collaborate with Forrest and the rest of us on developing a 16 to 24, or who knows how long it will be, page guide to adventure along the Ohio River Way, which we'll talk about in a second. But thank you for your leadership on that. It's very exciting. Very exciting. So let's see. We also then have a couple of theme tours that are in the process of development. That is, there's already a lot of Underground Railroad sites, Native American history and cultural sites, museums, breweries, wineries, and distilleries along the Ohio River Way. And wouldn't it be great if we could develop sort of sample tours that help promote all these different locations for each of those themes along the way. And so we have an emerging group of leaders and who are taking leadership in each of these areas. And Greg Roberts has been playing a key role with the Underground Railroad effort. And Greg, you're here in the house, aren't you? Can you share briefly what you guys are doing in 1 minute?
Yes, I am, Brewster. We continue to network, and thanks to some introductions from David and others, part of the Ohio River Way that, again, that seems like it's forever away down there in the beautiful city of Louisville and east and west of there. The folks in Oldham County have done a great job already in terms of what they've done in terms of promoting their Underground Railroad history. And what we find is a lot of these stories, particularly with the freedom seekers, connect not only with other towns along the Ohio, but points north and south, which is a wonderful way to develop a collaboration. And we're going to continue to go along that route. I get contacted by other folks that are interested in the history, but have other interests like sports cars and such that want to get involved and participate in growing the region as a tourist attraction for people with all sorts of interests. And so, I'm working with the tourism group and, again, developing those connections. And I think, like the tourism group, I think next month we'll have a little more solid, positive reports. But it's going very, very well because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of interest in this history, and then not just the Underground Railroad, but the Native American and other cultural histories that are so. We locals discount the significance of these stories.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. And there are a number of people. I know Marty Conley in Lawrence County, and Sonia, and many other folks in Brown and Adams and Scioto and Lawrence up that way, plus across the river in northern Kentucky, have incredible museums, culture sites that are connected to the Underground Railroad. They're all part of telling the story. And so a lot of what we're trying to do is tell stories that would attract people to take the time to engage in the Ohio River Way in meaningful ways, not only folks in this region, but from throughout the United States and around the world. What the heck? Let's think big. Well, secondly, I just want to report on behalf of Liz Seidler, the executive director of the Archaeological Research Institute in beautiful downtown Lawrenceburg, Indiana. They've been wonderful partners, and they had a conflicting meeting today, but they have taken on the responsibility, and they have actually assigned a professional full-time researcher on their team to develop essentially a theme tour around Native American history and cultural sites that are accessible to the public, some of which are archaeological sites, some of which are mounds, etc., but to help tell the story about the first peoples in our region. And they're in the process of developing a guided tour. Their plan is to create an app, all of which will be connected to our marketing efforts and integrated into the Ohio River Way website. It's their project, but it's a good example of how an entity's project that is aligned with what we're trying to do can be amplified by all of us collaborating. But to imagine, people being able to take a multi-day tour to learn more about the Native American history and culture along the Ohio River Way. It's exciting, wonderful project. We also are grateful that the Behringer Crawford folks, Sean Mendel is on the line here. Sean, could you share what you guys are planning to do about connecting museums?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Christopher. We've just started building a list of museums along the Ohio River and the tributaries. It's going to be it should be a huge list. If what I'll do is I'll throw a link into the chat. So if you have a museum or a site that you think would be good for that list, add it there. I'll also throw in my email. And if you would like to collaborate or help out, we're more than happy to have you on as well too.
Sean, thank you. We really appreciate Ranger Crawford for taking the leadership on this based in Northern Kentucky. But again, imagine if we had a master list with some way of describing with commentary and pictures and links of a tour of all of the museums, regardless of what they talk about, right? They're focused on up and down the Ohio. It'd be, and we have an amazing wealth of museums that cover so many different topics. So thank you. I think that's pretty cool. Now we're still looking for somebody to coordinate our bourbon brewery and winery tour. So if you have great personal expertise in this field, please let me know, or David, or Forrest, because let's capture all the places that you can experience those spirits, etc., along the Ohio Riverway. A lot, given all the history we have here, VB is the first commercial winery in America. It's just great. Okay, so that's another thing we'll have a report on next time. Okay, folks, now
before we go on, I just wanted to follow up with Greg's report that on June 9th, there's going to be a national conference on the Underground Railroad hosted by Northern Kentucky University. And so if you're interested in the Underground Railroad and sites and how the Ohio River fits into it, Northern Kentucky University, June 9th, I put the link in about an article about it.
Excellent. Thank you, David. Appreciate that. And actually, before we go on, I noticed in the chat that our good friend Andrea Ireland with the National Park Service reports that Russ Clark, who's also with the National Park Service and worked closely with us on the Rivertown Review Project. Andrea, could you just make a quick comment about what Russ is doing, which is a tribute to you all and us?
Right. After going through that process for several years, we're going to be presenting on the Rivertown Review Project at the River Management Society Symposium in San Antonio, Texas. And I will also be presenting it at the International Trails Symposium in April. And we will be rolling out at that time the toolkit so that other river towns can take that information and use it. That's in graphic design right now. It's really become a tool that the entire National Park Service can use and other river towns throughout the country. So we're excited.
And that was piloted by you and Russ and our volunteer team. Is that correct?
Correct.
And John Oliver's working on the toolkit for the entire country based on what we did.
Right.
Is that right?
Yep.
Just saying. Okay. It's very flattering. It's very cool, and a tribute to each and every one of you participating in the Rivertown Review Program. And our hope is that we will be able to continue working with the National Park Service to conduct some additional Rivertown reviews. We're still working all that through, but we are grateful that the National Park Service has an interest in continuing its relationship with us and all of you. It's a great tribute to how they see the Ohio Riverway as a model for other communities around the country.
Right. Well, it's a great project.
Well, thank you, dear. Good job. Okay, moving right along here. I'm really excited that we have with us Don Hubbard and Lydia Steck. And Don and Lydia are with the company that is called Cincy Magazine, but they have a number of other, like Midwest Living, a number of other magazines in their publishing world. And they have a whole separate division that works to develop custom publications. And they have done, for example, for years, the Adams County, Ohio Annual Visitor's Guide. Brown County just came out with theirs. So they have a history of being able to do publications that promote the natural beauty, recreational opportunities, cultural assets, et cetera, in particular communities. And they approached us and said, we got a deal for you. And they sure do. And I'd like to turn it over to Lydia and Don for the next 9 minutes, 10 minutes to share what we are doing with them and how it can help all of us, and what opportunities there are for folks who would like to use this to promote their own communities. Lydia and Don.
All right. Brewster, thank you for having us on. And we're actually very excited to be a part of this historic venture. And it's vast, obviously, and we will be a part of the publication process. So I'm going to kind of take you through just a little bit about what we do, how we do it, the publication itself, the distribution. I'm going to share the screen here in a minute of our Adams County flip book that you would see your publication, put out similarly and on our website, actually on 3 of the websites. So just let me jump into it. Number one, we've done these publications for over 20 years, and I'm talking about some of the custom publications that we do for cities and visitor bureaus and that type of thing. One of the things that we have an initial guarantee that it'll be 16 pages. That's the minimum. However, I do believe this will go bigger, and it will based on advertising, basically. One of the things that Wayne Gates brought out in our meeting is that in a 16 to 20 page publication, not everything can be displayed over 275 miles of the Ohio Riverway. So it will be up to some of the advertising to actually put in the magazine to let people know what's out there. And so reps will be getting out to businesses to talk to them about the opportunity to get in. Rates have not been established. We look at everything, and then the rate card will be determined here pretty soon. We'll be sending that out to the committee. So just to understand the process, we will put the magazine together. We have our own editing team that will work with the editing team with the Ohio Riverway. So on that, the Ohio Riverway will have 16 out of, we'll have 10 pages out of the 16 for editorial. That does include the cover page. And so you will have input in that and the articles and so forth. For every extra page of advertising, it adds an additional 4 pages, which one of those pages are guaranteed to be editorial, and oftentimes a couple. So you'll be able to share this message and a lot of the different things that are going on there. With regard to distribution, so we will publish and produce 10,000 copies. Actually, that will be polybagged with our Cincy magazine, our Midwestern Traveler magazine, and Ohio Business. So these will go in to the subscribers that subscribe to our magazines. So they go along with that. We send you guys an additional 2,500 copies. The Ohio Riverway organization, you guys are looking at actually printing some additional copies to be distributed, to be determined based on price and so forth, somewhere in the range of 10 to 20,000. So that's going to be a really good start in distribution for the publication itself. Not only do we have the actual physical magazine, then we have our online magazine that will be provided as a link that you guys will have, so you can share it on social media, and it'll link back to this page. Now I'm going to share the screen here a second so you can see this publication here. So let's see. All right, so this is our Adams County, and so this is on the Cincy magazine site. So the link would be provided. It's going to go right to this page. And so a person's going to be able to flip through this particular publication and just look at, all of the different events so they can read it online. One of the cool things is, for example, this is Barry Chevrolet, is that we can put links to each person's advertiser's website. So when you click on Barry's link there at the bottom, it's going to come up with his website. So you'll see Barry Chevrolet right here. So they can go right onto that website to get more information. So each one of these pages have links. Now, I'll just go to this page here because we'll have something similar in the map, in the publication, that will have a map that will provide the Riverway, where it's at. And so people can look at it from a map standpoint with some of the advertisers being linked on here. That will be very important. When I talk about the particular magazine with regard to distribution, this is going to a populace of people that they're going to be the ones that are going to use this. They're going to be the ones that are going to want to explore some of the adventures or the museums or the things that are happening along the river. And so it's a great opportunity to expose the businesses and or visitors bureaus, as Wayne had mentioned before, that the visitors bureaus can get involved in this advertising as well. You will also have this link will be on our Midwestern Traveler website, our Cincy Magazine website, and Ohio Business. So this link will be on 3 different publications, along with a banner ad that you guys get in the Midwestern Traveler. So you'll have a banner ad as well that they'll link on it, link back to the magazine. Then we also will shoot this link out to our 12,000 online subscribers. So we have 12,000 subscribers. Our average open rate is around 12%. So when they get an email, there'll be a link with a welcoming email that, hey, we have a new publication, see Ohio River Way, so part of an announcement with this link. So people will go back and be able to click on this as well. Again, our selling period of time will be from March the 6th through April the 10th. So this is basically the schedule. So we'll start with contacting businesses from the list that we get from the Ohio River Way. The ads will be due on April the 11th. All ads will be due in. The actual magazine will be delivered no later than March the 16th. Probably a little sooner than that, but no later than March the 16th.
May.
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry.
May.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
sorry.
fine.
May
You're
16th.
fine.
Thank you, Lydia. I had that down there. I looked at it and looked at March. So it's May the 16th. You will also be provided 3 quarter-page ads in the Midwestern Traveler, Cincy Magazine, and Ohio Business. So this will be in our print edition that is further advertising this publication. That will also be polybagged in these. So again, a lot of advertising being done to promote the publication, to get eyes and views on that as we push this out. Again, we've done this for over 20 years, so we're very familiar with how to work with these publications and get the message out. We are, I'm looking at potentially a much bigger magazine than 16 pages, but we'll at least have that going on and starting out in the beginning. And as you can tell, it will be in a collaboration. So you will give us the articles, the photography, although we'll do some of it as well. So we basically partner with you on that. And that's a very quick overview, a 10,000-foot view of what we're doing. And Lydia will be around. Lydia is actually on part of the marketing team with the Ohio River Way. She's on that committee. And so questions can be directed to her, myself, at Cincy Magazine. And I'm sure there'll be some, but we'll have a promotional piece that we'll send out via email. We'll be calling people, emailing them, and obviously stopping in.
Don, thank you very much. Lydia, do you have anything you'd like to add? You're on mute.
Hi, sorry about that. My child is home today because of the crazy rainstorms, but yeah, it was really, the weather was really bad. And so we ended up opting to keep her home. But anyway, yeah, so I just wanted to say that we're super excited about this. We want everyone to have the opportunity to shine a light on wherever you are, whatever business, visitors center, etc. And we're just super excited about this publication to really showcase the, Ohio region and the Ohio River Way. Also, I know Brewster has mentioned this, but I just want to be clear that my dog. I just want to be clear that, this is no cost to the Ohio River Way, and that this does get paid by advertising. And like Don was saying, the advertising that it really will increase the book size and how much what articles we can do, et cetera. But does anyone have any questions for us?
Yeah, I wanted to point out that in advertising, it doesn't have to be a business. Tourism council or a city could take it out. One of the pieces we have to be a bit careful of is we get 10 to 12 stories. And many, many thanks to Wayne Gates and his team for organizing those 10 to 12, 13 stories, because in case if it gets a little longer. If you want to be guaranteed to have a spot in it, think about an advertising flyer, a full page deal for Augusta or for New Richmond, however you want to do it. Because this is just the first year of it. I think we're committed to several years of doing this. So let's get all of our cities and tourism councils to be sponsors.
Yeah, and if I could say, once again, the good news is you guys have tons of experience. You come highly recommended by the Adams, Brown County folks and others that you've worked with along the way. The extra quantities, and we may do as many as 30,000 extra, depending on our ability to raise additional dollars, because we pay for that incremental additional run. But that's, think about 30,000, maybe 100 a box or maybe fewer, but that's like 300 boxes of these things that'll be in my garage.
Yeah.
But we will be distributing them starting the end of May. In fact, we anticipate holding maybe perhaps the May meeting of this group, inviting all the elected officials, as we did last year for our mayors and elected officials summit, to have a joint meeting of all of you, plus ideally every elected official we can bring together to officially roll out the guide. And you can go, Don, through the flip book version of it so people can see what's in it. But just helping to make people aware that we have this. It's going to promote every single community from Louisville, from West Point up, frankly, to Lawrence County, of course, way beyond Portsmouth and Ironton. And help promote all the assets that you all have, and encourage people to tap into them, to make use of these recreational assets and the cultural and all the other things that you all have to offer. So I think it will really benefit a lot of folks. So if there are any questions, does anybody have a question right now about this? Or you can put it in the chat. We will try to respond quickly to it. But I think this is a first time we've done this, and hopefully we'll do it well and on time. And it will have a shelf life of 1 year or less, actually, but we'll have a QR code to drive people to a separate page on our website for all the events. So they will not be dated. So if your event, we'll make sure your events are properly promoted on the website, and we'll drive traffic to that. And we're also in the process of developing an Ohio River Way app that will also have a button you push. It'll take you to all the listings of all the events that you all have. We're in the process of developing all that. So thank you, folks. Appreciate you joining with us, Lydia and Don. Look forward to working with you. Okay.
Thanks, sure. Appreciate it.
Good. Moving right along here. We have David Wicks giving us a quick update on our annual Portsmouth to Louisville or Southern Indiana paddle. David, you're on mute. David, okay. You're on mute.
I'm unmuted now. Sorry. Let me just get back here. Anyway, we're just excited to have our project go forward. With all of our campsites and hotel and restaurants are reserved. We have our safety boat with Jerry Schulte and our onshore support with Brewster and folks, and we're going to paddle from Portsmouth on down to Louisville. We're encouraging people to come for 2 sections, either the whole thing or from Portsmouth down to Cincinnati, Cincinnati to Louisville. We camp out. We have camping arrangements made for each night. Some people, though, choose to stay in a hotel for one night or two. That's totally up to theirs. It is a small fundraiser for us, and so it's a no-cost event for it. River City Paddle Sports provides all of the insurance and all the equipment, so it's a donation thing for them, but it's a way of celebrating the river. And so we hope that people want to come. All you have to do is put up with a hard wooden seat for 8 hours a day. We do leave in the morning. We try to leave before dawn because the winds are less in the river, and our big Voyager canoes tend to have a little bit of windage in the front of them. This year we're doing something different, and Forrest, who you've met earlier, is helping us develop some sponsorship. So we're looking for having, different hotel meals sponsored, or having a title sponsor for the entire event, or to sponsor Jerry and the safety boat. So it's all described right here on our little Sponsor Us page. Would love to have you join us, would love to have you sponsor us, and would love to have you meet us in any of the river towns as we paddle on down. Any questions there, Brewster?
No, excellent job. We look forward to seeing you all. So many of you we will see as we come to your town, and we'll also be using this as the opportunity to distribute mass quantities of our guide to adventure on the Ohio River Way. So
sure, what are the dates on that? I didn't see it on that page.
The 2nd of June through the 11th of June.
June 2nd, June 11th. June 11th is a Sunday, so we just work backwards. Come and join us.
And our friends in Portsmouth will kick us off in style, as it did last year. So, gee, if it's not on there, Andrew, we need to check the website, make sure it's complete.
Yeah, the dates are on there. I think
they're on there now.
All right, great.
We want to, we'll have some availability just depending on the number of people going, for people to do shorter distances. And so, last year we had, let's see, Miss Heather French Henry, or Miss America from Augusta, paddle with us for a day, and on and on and on. So we had a variety of reporters and newspaper folks and mayors, and so you're all more than welcome to think about joining us for a day if there's room.
And this is also a great opportunity for you all in different communities to identify, to engage some of your local media people to interview and basically do a story about the Ohio River Way, because the visual is, folks coming through, getting out of the boat and hanging out with you all and spending the night. So anyway, folks, we got to move ahead. But David, thank you very much. It's always a gas, and hopefully the weather will be wonderful. All right, as it generally has been. All right, moving right along. We have some other quick items to nail down here. So Francis Manone has some like 3 or 4 agenda items to go bullet. Go quickly. Francis, take it over.
All right, so this is really a funding report, but not to sound too much like public television, but without the support of our members, we couldn't be able to produce things like this, which has been largely volunteer, and we're gearing up as we go here and adding more and more paid resources into our mix and professionalizing ourselves even further, including the work we were just talking about with the paddle and the publication. So somebody said in the chat, perhaps we should include a list of our members in the publication. That's a great idea. Here, I'm just going to scroll through. Here are the existing members now. If you're not on this list, we're in the process of making it even easier for you to become a member via our website or reach out to Brewster. But the publication is really a hard copy version of what our membership looks like, and a good opportunity to make sure you're highlighted on this list of lots of members. And thanks to those who have already thrown their hat in the ring. The other item is myself and several others have a committee that's working on funding specifically through the Appalachian Regional Commission and the state of Ohio's community grant program for Appalachia. So we are working on that. If anyone's interested in participating or helping, myself and others who are in the area of the Ohio River Way, which is the eastern half, that it falls under ARC's footprint, are working on that. And then the third thing is we've announced previously, but the National Park Service, we've been a recipient of the National Park Service's technical assistance for several years now, and they're carrying it forward. And we've been working on codifying what that looks like with them, but it is in-kind support via more muscle and brain power through the National Park Service. And we hope to make more and more announcements about what that looks like into the future, but it's a huge value for us. And we very much appreciate the support of the National Park Service to continue to take this regional trail project on steroids even further.
Wow, that was great, Francis. Thank you very much. You know, this Appalachian Regional Commission and the Governor's Appalachian Initiative for the state of Ohio provide us an opportunity to, and Francis is coordinating this, go after serious multi-million-dollar investments in river communities in Claremont County, Brown, Adams, Scioto, and Lawrence. So collaborating, developing the collaboration among those counties. Many of you on this call are already involved in those discussions with us to help enhance the recreational opportunities and the branding of the Ohio River Way. It's like very exciting, very cool. And then especially with the collaboration with the overall Appalachian Regional Commission allows us to go after funding for the Kentucky side, for the Appalachian counties in Kentucky. So thanks, Francis, for leading that effort. I'd also like to point out that Jerry Schulte, he wasn't in one of the committee reports, but Jerry, who's also our safety director for the paddle, among other things, used to work for Sanko for 30 some years, is our point person working with the National Park Service leadership on developing an application to the to the Department of Interior National Park Service to have the Ohio River Way or segments of it that qualify be designated as a national recreation trail and portions perhaps as a national water trail, which is much more difficult to get the designation for. But that allows us to be able to use the National Park Service logo on signage along the roadways, in publications, and it's a very unique national distinction that would help drive additional national awareness about what we are doing. The deadline is November. It's a very rigorous application process, and we'll need to work closely with every one of you. I'm so glad we have Mayor Cleaves and Mayor Cotterill and others on the call today, because we need to work with your communities to get letters of commitment and support for maintaining your boat ramps, marketing the effort, et cetera. So there's a lot of work that will go into this, but that's very exciting. Trying to think if there's anything else at the immediate moment here, folks. I'm grateful. Kathleen Klinger's on with Tourism Ohio, so we're grateful to have that statewide leadership of the state of Ohio on. And I also want to recognize 3 of our new board members who just joined our board, all of whom are on the call today. And some of you already heard from Susan Griffin Ward, who's the Communications and Outreach Coordinator for the Kentucky Waterways Alliance, and she's been very involved with us over the years. Nia Rivers is with the Division of Water of the state of Kentucky. Nia, it's so good to have you with us and join us on our board. And Joe Stetzler. And Joe is soon to be retired from his work for many, many years with a major corporation in Cincinnati, lives part-time in Ripley, and is going to be our key cycling board member. He's the treasurer of the Cincinnati Cycling Club. So we're very excited to have those folks join our operation. So let's see. Let me ask you folks, are there any questions or feedback on the things we haven't addressed that you would like us to look into or deal with? Anybody? This is open mic.
Well, I'll jump right in because I always have something to share. And Morgan Atkinson is on the call, and he is developing a documentary, hopefully for PBS and KET. I put a link in the chat again. That's a series of interviews that he's done. And it's a fascinating process. He has 4 or 5 trailers out, but we hope to have the documentary ready by end of August for the Kentucky State Fair, and we'll be able to share it with people up and down the entire region. So it's a fascinating project. The link is in the video or in the chat right now.
And be dynamite if we can get this film as it's designed to be on regional, if not national PBS, but it'll be like eye candy for people, well, to promote the Ohio River, because the video is just going to be powerful, and the interviews help people understand why the river is so important and what opportunities it offers all of us.
Brewster, I want to call out Mayor Searcy, who just elected down in West Point as mayor, the end of our trail right now. He has a fascinating sort of a new school that he's working at. He happens to also have the National Park Service working with them on developing a trail from West Point all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Mayor, do you have any comments about your first week in service?
Well, it's been historic. As you may or may not know, all of the city employees quit the day I took office, so it's been a little bit treacherous trying to navigate that. But yes, we do have a lot going on down here. Three major trails converge here in West Point. Lewis and Clark Trust is very interested in doing something down here. I'm currently working on a trail that would connect most of Fort Knox to West Point. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and our boat ramp is going to get rebuilt this year.
That's wonderful. If you haven't been to historic West Point, go visit it. It's a beautiful park and beautiful section of the river. I think it might be the prettiest section of the entire river.
We also have just had 2 of our historic homes purchased by new owners that are going to do full renovations on them. So that's pretty exciting too.
Great. Well, thank you, Mayor. It's always good to have you. Appreciate you coming to our summit and being so engaged and down there and helping us all out. So folks, we are going to end exactly on time, I think, but with a couple of caveats here. Vote online. You saw it in the email that I sent out for Vivi and for Maysville, so that they can win the USA Today's Best Midwestern Small Town and Best Southern Small Town in America award. Wouldn't it be great if the 2 can be the #1 along the Ohio Riverway? And frankly, we kind of played a role in it. We submitted all kinds of all of you just about to the USA Today, and they picked Vivi and Maysville. So we had a role to play with this, I got to tell you, behind